John chapter 1 and verse 1 says, "In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the same was in the beginning with God. All things were made by Him, and without Him was not anything made that was made. In Him was the life, and the life was the light of men, and the light shineth in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not." Hi, my name is Charles Vance, and I'm along with Chief Strategist Terry Sacka, and you're watching The Wealth Transfer. Terry, good to see you today.
Good to see you, Charles. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to The Wealth Transfer. As Charles kind of was alluding to in the Word, where in the beginning was the Word, Jesus, and we've been given the Holy Spirit, of course, which is the light and the power within us. And the enemy, the darkness, can't comprehend. Think about it. Can't comprehend the ability, the authority we have as Christians. So when we go forward here in the wealth transfer, dealing with the monetary system that we're discussing, we want the biblical principles to lead us, and we want to understand the Bible's given us authority over the earth. And these elements of hard, tangible assets are of the earth, and understand how to use that authority and how it empowers right down to the very smallest part of our being.
Terry, I want to ask you this first, because there's several people that are watching tonight. This is the first time they've seen this program. We're going to be talking about finances, money, the importance that it has to us as Christians, people of God, and how attentive we should be to it. I want people to know where your background is in money, why you're sitting here talking to us about money.
Well, I'm actually an accredited asset management specialist, and I've come from working initially with A.G. Edwards as a financial firm. I have licenses. I used to have them. I kind of let them go. I'm not going back there again. In financial advisory, in retirement accounts, all through asset management for retirement. And when we saw what was really happening, and before 2008, really about 2007, we realized it better predominantly be in hard, tangible assets, and then that's when the Word of God started flourishing. So, I bring a lot of that global economic stuff to the table. I have a big understanding of the global economic situation. The world and CNBC may differ on that opinion, but that's okay, because I'm not coming from the world's perspective. I'm here to bring the global economics from God's perspective and how we're to understand it and give you truth. Because remember, the truth shall set you free.
Well, we've been talking the last few weeks, and by the way, this program is on at this same time on this station every week at this same spot, this same day. But we've been talking the last few weeks about the difference between currency and money. Give us a real quick rundown on that again.
Yeah, I mean, money, the best definition, money, all through history now, goes back to 600 BC. Money is a storage of value over time. It means it gains value, increases in value. Currency is a decreasing in value. Now, they both do the same. They both are interchange. You can interchange this to buy things. You sell this, get this. It's used as a form of money, so we call this money. But this is not a storage of value over time. Matter of fact, since its inception, the dollar has lost 95% of its buying power.
How many years? How long has that been?
Well, that's since 1913. When the Federal Reserve was created, but we've seen just recently, in the last 10 years, this has lost 40% of its buying power. And the best way to illustrate that is you used to pay $1 for gas, and now you pay $4. And that translates across the board in everything, right? Food, clothing, energy, everything we buy takes more of these. Not that the things are more expensive. This is less in value. Currency. Currencies all through history, now I'm talking 600 BC when it was first created, have gone to zero. Every single one of them, zero. Very important to understand, because we just think this is money, and we ask what kind of money you have. Well, I got this money, and this is how much money I have. You don't have money. You have currency. You really have to understand this and take it to heart. It has to resonate your spirit, because if you don't, you're not going to understand the importance of being in real money. You see, storage of value over time. This has lost 95% of its value since its inception. This has been around since day one. And this is silver. This has been around since day one. God created Haggai 2:8, the gold is mine, the silver is mine. But it's of the earth. So all things of the earth, really, for that matter. Just in 10 years, this has gone up 500%.
Now, that's in relationship to currency.
Exactly.
Because the currency continues to go down. Now,
yes.
So one of the things maybe that people don't understand about currency is the only value this has is what people think that it has.
Yes.
Because there's no tangible value in this. This used to be actually linked to silver, and at one time it was linked to gold. There had to be a certain amount in the bank, correct?
Yes, and now let's do that
before they could issue these.
Yes, and let's go there, because this is so important. We could say this every week and it doesn't get too old, because you got to get this equation in order to understand what's coming in the new monetary system that has to be developed. It has to. And that's why we're doing the history, and we're moving a little slow, but it's okay. It's filled with very rich data on where we came from and where we're going. But this is a great example. Someone actually brought this to our attention last week. I thought it was a really good way of doing it. Let me just put it this way. Let's say you have a silver dollar and a currency dollar. Now, these are actually silver certificates. So imagine many of you remember at the top it says silver certificate. This used to be nothing more than a coupon you would take to the bank, and then they would give you a silver dollar. That's what this really was representative of this. That is, all money always has this at the root. Now, here's the thing. They were equal, and you go to the bank and you get this. The only reason they did these, because these are heavy. But we got tricked along the way, and now these became what they say is money, which it's not. So let me ask you this. They were equal, so you had the same thing. This is in your wallet right now, but it's called a Federal Reserve note. It's currency, 100%. Go and get this out of your wallet, and if you want to, would you like this? I'll give you this. They're equal, right, back in the day? Think about it for a minute. This is worth now 23 of these. So the $1 you have in your wallet, you can't go and get this anymore.
No, they have
23 of them now. So you see where this is going.
There have been laws that have been put into place in the last several years that has disconnected these two.
Yes.
So that there is no longer a gold standard, which was prior to this.
Right.
And now there's no longer a silver standard. So the bank doesn't have to keep any of this in reserve.
That's right. There is not.
And in addition to that, there was a fractional banking law that allows the bank to loan actually more of these than they have in paper, because, and this varies from bank to bank depending on the capacity of the bank, but it can go up to 60 times, I understand.
Yes.
So you can have one of these and put it in the bank. The bank puts it on their asset sheet, and according to federal law, the bank can now loan you 60 of these.
Now think about that.
That's crazy.
Now
Where did it come from?
And this is where the danger lies in we the people's wealth going forward. Do not underestimate that as we talk about these monetary systems, that we're not on the verge. I believe we are on the verge of an epic shift globally, economically, east to west power shifting. And we're not going down without a fight in the West, I'll tell you, but we are deficit spending nations. And some shift is taking place.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by
Meaning we spend $1 trillion a year more than we make in revenue. So
than the government makes? You
say the government spends $1 trillion more. Now we are so far in debt, we can barely service our interest. Go ahead and raise interest rates. We will not be able to raise interest rates because we'll have a difficult time servicing our debt. Something has to give. All through history, it does. So I'm really saying is in the global economics that we see now since 2008, really 2001 is what started this. The harbinger is laid out, and I really take to heart that prediction because it seems to be, just lining up right. This monetary system is done. It's through its cycle. It's over 40 years old. we don't know what that means. We don't understand where we came from. Here's the consequence to us, though. Our standard of living, what life as we know it, is going to change soon, sooner than you think. And what does that mean? Your retirement accounts, your 401ks, a tremendous amount of inheritance is shifting right now. What are you going to do with that? If you think being in currency is the way to go, you've already been wrong all along. But it's okay, you're not alone. We all kind of understood that way because we were trained to believe that.
Well, people are they're actually being robbed on paper.
I would agree that's a good statement. It's a looting, I call it.
Okay.
They're looting not just your wealth now. They're looting your inheritance to your children, your children's children. God established, and he made it very clear how we are to do the forms of money and how that worked. But we're looting. And so what's coming is going to be an epic shift in our monetary system, and I believe it's going to be one that we will never see again, and all of us alive will never experience what's coming. We think 2008 was rough. That was the beginning of what's getting ready to come. And so I'm saying what is prepping is something that's going to be epic, and your IRAs, retirements are in jeopardy.
I want to stop you for a minute because I want people to know we're not doomsday preachers.
No.
We're not doomsday preppers. Although I have a big thing of rice and you have some rice and beans and some
I like
water.
Almond butter in jars.
But we don't have storehouses full of stuff. We're not doomsday preachers. I pastor a church, have pastored for 20 years. I'm a faith man. If I want anybody to call me anything, I want them to call me a faith preacher. But there's some truth. If you don't know truth, you're going to be in bondage to the enemy.
And this is, that's right, good point.
And
Thank
Satan
you.
is called the God of this world.
Right.
It's not talking about the earth, it's talking about the world system.
Yes.
So if we don't learn truth, now you actually own a company that deals in precious metals. You've said this multitudes of times on here. You don't have to buy stuff from us. But we're here, you have a craving to educate people concerning what's going on financially in the world because the Christian beliefs that you have, and I wouldn't be doing this with you otherwise. We had some serious talk about this before we ever started this program. I'm not interested in just doing another program. We do 3 a week, sometimes 5 a week anyway, for our church, our ministry. But this program is an educational program for people to understand what's going on financially in the world. Your company helps people with that if they want it, or they can go somewhere else. But you want to your company has put together, you guys have put together a packet of material for people that have IRAs, 401ks, money that's in stock markets, that's in whatever it's in paper.
You'd be amazed how much is in cash. Currency sitting in the bank. And so what we're saying is what is coming in the new monetary shift, the global realignment that is going to take place. People argue about it, but because they don't understand what money really is and what currency really is. The fact is, in just 10 years, your currency's lost 40% of its value, and real money like silver has gone up hundreds of percent. So it's already misunderstood and it's been missed. But with the trillions we're printing, with the obligations we have going forward to the tune of 200 trillion, baby boomers, Social Security, Medicare, we don't have that money saved. And let alone we're spending $1 trillion more. What's coming is going to shake our foundation. So what we're trying to say is if you have IRAs, 401ks, inheritance lump sums coming, you have to have protection, diversification in a hard asset, because everything that's in currency, whether it be an annuity, CDs, it doesn't matter, is really subject to not only inflation, but I would say a downright collapse of the dollar value. I think the dollar is going to lose significant value and be retooled into a new currency in the near future here. Numerous reasons will lay that out. Your IRAs and 401ks are in jeopardy. Your long-term quality of life is in jeopardy. And all I know is $100,000 just 10 years ago is only worth $60,000 today in currency buying power. $100,000 in silver 10 years ago is worth $500,000 today. What do you want for going forward? So we do prepare this package for those that have IRAs, 401ks, inheritance money coming. It gives data information, how simply and easy it is to roll over from your current IRA, TSP, or other retirement accounts into a precious metals account. Register on this website, give us a call. We'll go ahead and guide you, educate you, and you can roll it over to a physical hard asset that's a liquid, meaning you can buy and sell it at any time, and you could store your future in this instead of in the currency, because we're talking about the monetary system. So we'll recap a little bit of where we were, and then we want to touch on a little bit about what's going on in the globe. This is part of this program is global economics, not just the United States.
I don't want to jump ahead, but I want to. There's some really weird stuff going on over in Russia, Ukraine.
Yes.
And I shouldn't say it's weird. It's strange to us because most people in America thought all that stuff settled. You know, Reagan worked. It seemed like his whole administration to get the communistic walls broken down in Germany so that people could have the ability to not be held in a place that the government was completely controlling their lives. We saw the dissolution of the Soviet Union during that same time period. And now it looks like that there is this is an outsider looking in. I'm a pastor.
Yes.
It looks like to me, just hearing news reports, that Russia is trying to regather groups of countries back together.
And there's a reason for this. Now, what we have to understand is government's supposed to work for we the people. This wealth we have is ours. We're to share with one another through taxation. But when one becomes strong, when the government becomes too strong, we lose sovereignty to a degree. And what happens is what Charles is alluding to. If we're not properly educated, because we're not doomsdayers, we're just saying something really big is coming, whether you believe it or not. And we're saying we in the body of Christ, if we're prepared for this, we become empowered to feed the poor, help those that haven't been able to help themselves during this crisis, and love on people with the resources God has guided us to. Because remember, this is His.
And perpetuate the gospel.
Absolutely, that's the point. Yeah, because people are going to say, how do you survive this?
Right.
Well, let me share the Word of God, how He said. That's why in the beginning we said, in the beginning was the Word was with God, Word was God. He said many things in the Bible that if we just stick to, we would have already been significantly wealthy as a church. You can't deny it. If the church would have been in hard, tangible assets, things of the earth from day one, we would be a more powerful entity, and maybe Jesus Christ would not be one of a dozen religions and out of school. We have lost our ability to lead, and we must start to lead as a church, because what's going on in Russia, what's going on globally right now is part of the big picture. And if you want to, don't take it from me, listen, watch this video. We're going to play this a lot because this is a great U.S. president that we had, and watch his words as he says, now he did this decades ago now, and watch how he said, this is after he came off the gold standard, and watch, now the reason this video is important, what he's talking about is coming to fruition here shortly, if it hasn't already really begun, and he was warning us. And look at this video here by our President Ronald Reagan.
I believe that the issues confronting us cross party lines. Outside of its legitimate functions, government does nothing as well or as economically as the private sector of the economy. For 3 decades, we've sought to solve the problems of unemployment through government planning, and the more the plans fail, the more the planners plan. A government can't control the economy without controlling people. And they know when a government sets out to do that, it must use force and coercion to achieve its purpose. Somewhere a perversion has taken place. Our natural unalienable rights are now considered to be a dispensation of government. And freedom has never been so fragile, so close to slipping from our grasp as it is at this moment.
The reason he was saying that was because it's an economic issue. And we, the people, are the engine of this nation, creativity, development. And if we lose our ability to be economically free because we become enslaved to the economic system, we're in a lot of trouble, and it's just a matter of time where we have to have more control structures than by government, because they have to help keep order in the country. So this is why we as the body of Christ, if we position ourselves right, which if we would have done it all along, we would be far better off today. And I'm saying it's not going to change if you understand how much money we're printing and how our government's running on deficits.
Terry,
so that's going to be the reason why we need this shift.
Solomon said that the rich ruleth the poor,
right,
and the borrower is servant to the lender. That's Bible. That's not something that somebody's made up, although that's obvious. All you have to do is look around. The borrower is servant to the lender. The rich rules the poor.
And think about that. The rich they're talking about, or the rich that we talk about in this nation, where is this divide where people are attacking the rich, and there's this class warfare going on, pretty heavy right now. But remember, the rich we're talking about are the elitists. We're not talking about people that make a few hundred grand, although they say they're rich. They're really not rich by the time they pay taxes and inflation. But we're talking about people that are seriously hundreds of millions and billionaires. But the point is, they do rule, and it's all going in the direction we don't want it to go. But this is what you're seeing play out right now.
We should be. The body of
yes.
Christ. Christians should be rich to the place that our voice has a place in our economy and in our society.
Just like the corporations of Chick-fil-A, Hobby Lobby, that stand up for the values of the Bible because they have wealth to be able to have a voice. Duck Dynasty has wealth to have a voice. So these are people that are they're trying to help put the Bible forward. But what's going on in Russia that we need to know? This is the beginning of what's coming in the east to west power shift in the global economics. Because remember, they need certain things done before this can take place. And we've talked about the petrodollar. Our dollar in the economies, in the global monetary system is about to change. Our reserve currency is about to change. I don't care what people say. No way, that's got to be decades before that happens. They're kidding themselves. And maybe because they're stuck in the fiat system. But it's closer than you think. And here's something I want to read you. The Eastern linchpin nations that the East must have in order. Now, we were talking about this a long time ago, here it is Greece, Turkey, and Ukraine. Now, they're for very specific reasons. And kind of in a clean way of putting it, these are trade zone regions, and Turkey is needed for the gold routes, trade routes. Ukraine is needed for energy, as well as down in that small area because it's a warm water port for Russia. And Greece is also a trade route. So what we have to understand is Ukraine energy pipeline routes are extraordinarily important. This whole thing going on in Ukraine right now is not about, they're just, look at them, they're going back to the Soviet era. This goes back to Catherine the Great. This goes back hundreds of years. That territory was Russian territory numerous times. They gave it back during the collapse of the Cold War. But the point was it was always Russian territory to some extent. And this is vital to the east-west shift of power. Don't think our currency is not vulnerable. Ukraine is major energy to Europe. Major energy to Europe. So now we got Turkey, Greece, Ukraine. Do you know why the EU bailed out Greece for $200 billion? And they're going to have to do it again because they can't let Greece fall to the east. Same with Ukraine. This is why this is going on. This Ukraine collapse is not what you think it is. The West attacked the legitimate leadership of Ukraine, took it down. Russia's saying, whoa, you can't do that, and they moved in. And now they're looking to dominate control. They need these routes. Turkey, even though they're NATO, have already sided because of their affiliations to the east heavily. It was Turkey who allowed Iran to bypass the sanctions by trading oil for gold. It's setting up already. And if this plays out the way the history is showing, our dollar supremacy as a reserve currency is severely compromised. What does that mean to you? You've worked 30 years, 40 years for your savings for retirement. It's in the stock market, the bond market, annuities, CDs. It's currency. And if this plays down, which it's doing right in front of your face, you just don't realize it. The bond dumping has already taken place. It's just being done privately. You don't realize it's taking place. And if once this comes off as the reserve currency, and I think it might...
Wait. What do you mean by reserve currency?
Meaning the world uses the dollar right now for international trade and finance predominantly.
Okay.
But I believe it's going to shift temporarily maybe to an IMF unit made of multiple currencies and gold.
International Monetary Fund,
Yes.
IMF.
Your retirement account is at risk. When this currency collapses, we form a new monetary system, which has happened all through our nation now, where this is like our fourth one. We're going to come up to a new one soon, as we've been showing you, and we're moving slow, but that's okay, because this really has to get in. When the new monetary system comes, everything you're storing in currency will lose tremendous value.
Now look, I know...
That's your IRA and retirement account.
I know we're quickly running out of time today, but what if this doesn't collapse? What if it just keeps doing what it's doing?
Then you're going to have tremendous inflation.
Right.
Because the reason this is going to happen is 2/3 of everything we've printed is overseas. And what I'm saying is that stuff's coming home soon, and that's going to cause the inflation. So if it doesn't happen, yeah, let's say it doesn't. Let's say we're completely wrong, which I highly doubt, but let's say we are. Inflation's going to happen anyway, and you're still going to see high prices increase, and this is going to lose value.
And there would have to be a withdrawal of the currency back into the Federal Reserve banking system and absorbed there, and that's not
They're not going to be. They're not going to be able to. No. It'll hit the system. What happens is your retirements are going to be affected. Your quality of life and your future is going to be affected. What you think you're saving for retirement is not, and it already hasn't been. Just $100,000 in 10 years has lost $40,000. Fact, because the dollar has lost that much value. And yet those that are in precious metal IRA, which is hard tangible asset type of IRAs, are up substantially. That 100,000 is 500. So for those that have those assets, register on the website, give us a call. This is loaded with the data easily and simply. You can roll over these IRAs to a physical precious metals IRA. Because what's going on in Ukraine and in that region is a setup of what's coming. And what's miraculous is it's happening right in front of our eyes. Do we know what that means to our new monetary system that'll soon be coming?